Above the blue horizon, beyond the thin veil of atmosphere, lies a silent expanse, a realm where light bends, shadows deepen, and the unknown drifts just out of reach. We're going to take you inside the stories of astronauts, these cosmic explorers who have glimpsed the mysteries that lie beyond our earthly realm. From fleeting shapes that defy explanation to experiences that linger long after their return, join us as we journey through the enigmas of space and the echoes they leave behind. I am Michelle,
And I am Isaiah.
and we would like to welcome you to Shifting Veils. If you like the unexplained, possibly paranormal, and always strange, settle in, the cosmic mysteries beckon, and the journey of exploration has only just begun. I want to think that I was not the only kid that loved it when I would somehow come to being in possession of a sizable cardboard box. Because, I mean, you could make anything out of them. And one of those things were space rockets. Did you ever play with cardboard boxes?
I did not.
Well, that stinks. I'm sorry that you didn't have cardboard boxes. I know one time somehow I remember my dad worked at restaurants and they had to replace one of the refrigerators. And he came home with this gigantic refrigerator cardboard box. I don't remember. That one might have become a school bus because it was long.
Sure, yeah.
But like space rockets were like the go-to, you know? Because then we could pretend we were going to outer space. Maybe that's why I've always been in love with literature. Because literature takes you to different and faraway places, science that tries to define that which cannot be defined at times, history, and all of the above, even more so if it was mysterious. So just, you kind of got to use your imagination, you know?
Right.
Did you ever read the Space Trilogy by C.S. Lewis?
I have not. You tell me about it.
Have you read anything by C.S. Lewis?
I read the was it The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe?
The Chronicles? I
Yeah.
think the Space Trilogy is the only sci-fi he did. But it was good. I read a lot of his stuff, and the Space Trilogy was not the first thing I read of his, but Space Trilogy was probably the first sci-fi anything that I ever read. Um, but I was enamored by these books. He described space travel and the creatures and beings that the protagonist experienced in such a profound way. It was like he was painting a tapestry, illustrating these stories behind my forehead. His words did the work of my imagination for me, and it really intrigued me. I began imagining what being in orbit must really be like, the space, the stillness, the void that isn't as empty as we picture from down here on Earth, and the totality of just floating through something so foreign, knowing that you're not in control. Like, this is not your backyard. It garners a certain level of reverence and caution for what you may encounter. Out there above the curve of the earth in the silent dark where no wind blows, no waves crash, humans drift in fragile ships of steel and aluminum, and some of them have returned with stories. Stories that they can't explain, even decades later. It has a way of humbling even the most disciplined minds. Out there, every flicker of light, every drifting shadow takes on a weight it would never have on Earth. And sometimes those moments stay with the astronauts for the rest of their lives. In June of 1965, during the Gemini 4 mission, astronaut James McDivitt floats in orbit over 200 miles above the Pacific. He is alone at the controls, his crewmate is asleep, and through the porthole he sees it. A white object, cylindrical, with an arm or antenna jutting out from its side. It doesn't tumble like debris. It hovers. It glints in the sunlight, hanging motionless. McDivitt grabs his camera, fighting the blinding glare of the sun. By the time he maneuvers the spacecraft for a better view, it's gone. NASA later reviews the photos. Thus, they said they were overexposed. Was it debris? maybe a spent rocket stage or something else. To this day, no one has matched that sighting to any known object in orbit. So I guess that rules out the spent rocket stage. I mean, I want to think, sometimes I imagine there's stuff just floating out there like garbage because we've sent people and stuff out there, but I there's got to be like a I don't know, there's got to be like some kind of log, every single flight, every single launch, every single thing they've done. So they have to know what debris might be out there in orbit, you know?
Sure. I mean, I imagine that there is some sort of um, like garbage or waste or debris left behind. I mean, we've got satellites and we've got space stations and we've got
Yeah.
um, rockets that go through the atmosphere. I assume that there's something that's left behind. We leave behind shit everywhere, so
We're so trashy.
we are.
It's not funny. I'm laughing because it
It is
sounds
funny.
funny, but it's horrible.
In November of 1963, Mercury astronaut Gordon Cooper is on his final orbit around the planet. He radios back, "There's something out there. A greenish glowing object approaching from the front of the spacecraft. It's picked up on radar at his tracking station. NASA's official logs, silent." Cooper would tell the story for years, but the details remain as unexplained as the object itself.
So NASA just didn't have anything to say about it. That's just, yeah.
It's just normal,
It's hinky. It's weird. Normal for NASA.
normal for government.
People get mad at me when I don't answer them. You know. Fast forward to 1996, Space Shuttle Columbia mission STS-80. Astronaut Story Musgrave peers down at the Earth's curve. Can I just say Story is kind of a neat name? I've never heard that before. I started doing this research.
I've never heard of anybody named Apple either, but that happened in the last 2 decades sometime.
Apple?
Yeah, or North.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Story's neater.
Story's a nice
Neater.
name. Story feels like an 80s name.
I like Story. Okay, so he's looking down at the Earth's curve. Far below, a strange, elongated form drifts snake like, twisting gently in the black. It moves in a way ice crystals and debris do not. It seems almost alive. It slips away into the black as if diving beneath an invisible surface. Musgrave, a man of science, a doctor who has served in the Marine Corps, a trained mathematician having 6 academic degrees, seems like a credible witness. He has never cried aliens, but he admits it was the most unusual thing he'd seen in space. I looked at some other accounts from him, and it seemed like later on he started getting a little more uh, open about considering other life. I don't think he ever used the word aliens, but other life.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I don't know. That's just kind of wild. Something snake like out there. It's
I mean, there's a
a
lot of
space worm.
possibility. It's just, I don't know.
It's one of
Yeah.
those things that you can't say it, you can't like prove that it exists, but you also can't prove it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like going back and when we talk about like these things that happened back in the 30s, we don't really have any proof. We just have the word of whoever it happened to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
In October of 2003, Yang Liwei drifted high above the Earth, China's very first man in space, alone inside the Shenzhou 5. Outside was only the black, endless silence of orbit. And then he heard it. A sharp, deliberate knock like a wooden hammer striking an iron barrel. Once, then again. Yang floated to the window, scanning the hull, half expecting to see something. Someone. Out there. But the void was empty. The sound came again, not far from inside, but from just beyond the thin wall that separated him from the vacuum of space. No marks, no damage, no explanation. Years later, other taikonauts would report the same phantom knocking, as if something unseen was testing the walls, waiting.
No, thank you. I am not. I am not going to answer that knock.
It's,
I
it's how horror movies start.
am not even going to look. If there's somebody in there with me, I might send them to go look.
I mean, I imagine as a scientist that he felt like he had to go
Compelled.
look, compelled. Yeah,
Yeah, no. Mm-mm. Nope. Where? Yeah, no. I can't. No. You know what? Did you say? Okay, yeah, you did. You said that other ones that went out also heard the knocking. So it happened more than once.
you're right.
I don't know. That's creepy.
Yeah, like I
Um,
said, that's how horror movies start.
it is. Um, May 5th, 1981, aboard the 16-meter long, 19-ton Salyut 6 space station, Vladimir, I'm going to chop up his name, Vladimir Kovalyanok,
Kovalyanak.
Kovalyanok,
There you
had
go.
just finished his exercise routine when something outside caught his eye. Drifting against the black, only a kilometer ahead, hung a perfect sphere, 10 meters across, gleaming faintly in the void. It moved with the station, holding its place as though tethered by some invisible thread. The two vessels floated together in absolute silence, more than 400 kilometers above the sleeping Earth, locked in a silent, impossible orbit. I thought I misread that for a minute, sorry. Through long range binoculars, the cosmonauts began to study the craft. It was golden, its surface flawless, no seams, no rivets, no antennas, no solar panels, no markings at all. A smooth perfection that belonged more to a dream than to any known spacecraft. 24 windows dotted its surface, 8 encircling the equator, 8 in each hemisphere. Behind the glass, bathed in steady light, lay what looked disturbingly like a conventional control cabin. For nearly 24 hours, the sphere kept pace with Salyut 6. Silent and unchanging, Vladimir filmed it for 45 minutes. Every glint, every angle, while the station and the Golden Craft circled the Earth together, side by side, as if in unspoken agreement. The next morning, when the cosmonauts awoke, the golden sphere was closer, only 100 meters away. It drifted effortlessly without rockets, thrusters, or any sign of propulsion, yet it moved with precision, as if guided by thought alone. Through its windows, they saw them. This is freaky. 3 figures shaped like people, their faces devoid of emotion. They made deliberate, almost ceremonial gestures, but their motions were unnervingly stiff and mechanical, more like the movements of machines wearing human skin. On the fourth day, without warning, the golden craft was gone, slipping into the black as silently as it had appeared. No farewell, no signal, no trace. Only the memory of its unbroken gaze through 24 windows and a strange, unshakable longing left behind in the hearts of the two men who had watched it. So he filmed it. 45 minutes he filmed it. I don't know, that's just a lot. That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, in 45 minutes, that, as far as I know, we've never seen. I would imagine that that'd be something that we'd see,
Mm, I'd like to see it. Yeah.
and it left them with a longing.
A
So I'm
longing.
curious as to what kind of impression this left on them.
I mean, it just had to be awe. I mean, it's not just a craft that they saw. They saw stuff in it. Look, there was more stuff that I read when I was researching this. It wasn't just that they saw these figures and that they moved like ceremoniously, like kind of I don't know, mechanically and everything. They actually, they said, the guys said that they held up a map of like our galaxy or whatever, and that they did the same thing back. And they tried to communicate with them, but they didn't answer them. So, I mean, if someone told me this story, I'd be like, yeah, what the fuck ever.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
But he recorded them for 45 minutes, you know? So I don't know. It's just, this is the most wild story that I read whenever I was researching all this stuff.
it is a story that you would think you would hear or watch on like Twilight Zone or
Hmm. It
something
seems
more
totally
fictional.
fabricated.
Right. So I understand that. But like if we had an astronaut go up there and actually record something and state that they recorded something, then again, why haven't we seen this footage? I mean, I imagine that if we made contact with another life form of some kind, that would be something that we'd want to share. I mean, the entire planet here, Earth, wants to see. They either want to fight or they want to see or they want to greet some sort of alien or extraterrestrial life form. So why wouldn't we be able to see this film footage? Is what I'm curious on.
I think that we would all want to see it, of course. But I don't think that we. I think if that were to happen, if it hasn't happened already, I don't know that that's information that the civilian population would get to, see.
And clearly not. Not if this happened that long ago.
Mhm.
On June 18th, 1981, behind closed doors, military officers, scientists, cosmonauts, and high ranking government officials gathered to hear Vladimir Kovalyonok's and Viktor Savink's recount their 4-day encounter. They watched the film and studied the photographs. 45 minutes of silent orbit with an impossible craft. Questions came fast, answers were few. The incident was immediately stamped top secret.
What did I say?
Hmm.
They wouldn't let us see it.
Yeah. Later, under Kremlin directive, the existence of the event was made public, though not the evidence itself.
Mhm.
At Gosplan, the Soviet Ministry of Planning, a second meeting took place. Military officials, cosmonauts, ufologists, and select members of the press sat in the same room. Georgy uh, Berogo- Beregovoy. Sorry, I looked this up and I tried doing the pronunciation, and it's still difficult for me.
It's difficult for
Georgy
me.
Beregovoy,
It's
head of
just
the Soviet
Georgie.
head of the Soviet space program, presided over the gathering. Vladimir and Savink told their story once more. The video played flickering images of Salyut 6 and the Golden Sphere, but the press was forbidden to broadcast it. To this day, the film remains locked away, unseen by the public, its contents whispered about in the margins of declassified files.
Yeah. That's just weird. Why don't we get to see it? I mean, if it's something we don't need to be concerned about, then why don't we get to see it?
I'm surprised that, because this happened in 81, I'm
81?
surprised that we didn't have some quote unquote whistleblower come out and say something, because if they had press
Yeah.
there, then,
Hmm. It's been a
and
long time.
not just press, they had multiple different groups there. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know the astronauts themselves have definitely talked a lot about what they saw.
right.
They haven't quieted them, but it's just, something so wild. I think people want something tangible. They want to see photographs, they want to see video,
Hmm.
they want to decide for themselves, is this real or not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, obviously they didn't imagine all of this. If they had imagined it, then it wouldn't have been labeled top secret and filed away. Um, so I don't know. We expect mystery when we gaze into deep space, but sometimes the unknown comes to us. It drifts alongside our ships, it lingers just beyond the glass. It leaves even the most grounded minds with questions that have no final answers. These moments, rare and fleeting, they don't come with tidy explanations. They're logged, debated, filed away, but never fully solved. And for the men who saw them, they remain unanswered questions, drifting somewhere out there just beyond the reach of certainty. McDivitt, Musgrave, Cooper, experiences decades apart, yet their stories feel connected. Astronauts staring into the same endless darkness, catching fleeting glimpses of something that didn't belong. From the first shepherds to chart the constellations to sailors navigating by the stars, humans have always looked upward and wondered. We have recorded strange lights in ancient scrolls, seen impossible shapes etched in the skies of the Renaissance, tracked mysterious signals from the depths of space in our own lifetimes. The settings change: a desert campfire, the deck of a ship, the cockpit of a spacecraft. But the feeling is the same. The sudden awareness that something is watching, moving, existing where nothing should be.
For astronauts, the unknown is not an abstract idea. It drifts past the window. It shimmers on the edge of vision. It is recorded, logged, debated, and sometimes never explained. Maybe these are just the rare quirks of physics and light. Maybe they're undiscovered natural phenomena waiting for science to catch up. Or maybe they are something else entirely. Reminders that even in the most modern age, mystery still has a seat at the table. McDivitt's white cylinder, Musgrave's serpentine shape, and countless others whispered about by pilots, sailors, and scientists. They are threads in a tapestry older than our space program, older than our written history. Threads that, when followed, might one day reveal a picture we have never truly seen, but have always, in some deep part of ourselves, known was there. Until that day, the stories remain drifting in orbit, waiting for someone to see them again. The journey to space is often described as a transformation. Out there, beyond the blue and white sphere we call home, the universe reveals itself in ways impossible to fully prepare for.
But what happens when the astronauts return? When they step back onto Earth's soil, do those cosmic mysteries stay in orbit? Or do they follow them home? Edgar Mitchell, Apollo 14's lunar module pilot, called it the overview effect, a profound awakening of consciousness, a feeling of unity with all existence. But this experience, but his experiences went deeper. He later became interested in studying consciousness, psychic phenomena, and anomalous events, founding the Institute of Noetic Sciences. For Mitchell, space wasn't just a frontier of rocks and stars, but a doorway to the unexplained. Some others have mentioned an overview effect so intense that it altered their sense of reality, priorities, and even their perception of time. Private interviews with astronauts mention them feeling guided, having vivid precognitive dreams, or encountering inexplicable moments they couldn't easily dismiss as chance. There are anecdotal stories, mostly shared at conferences rather than in official debriefs, of astronauts experiencing sudden strong electromagnetic sensations or unexplained technical glitches around them long after having returned from orbit. That's probably isn't there radiation out there?
There is radiation. I mean, there's also protective guarding against that radiation in the spacecraft, though.
Hmm. Huh. Okay. So maybe that's not what it's doing. It. I don't
I
know.
mean, I'm sure that there's not 100% protection against this radiation, but given the fact that we do have astronauts continually still entering space,
Yeah.
I assume, and we have those astronauts return and live fairly long lives. Buzz Aldrin is did he? I don't know if he passed. I know
I think he
he's
passed.
I know he lived to an old age, but like so I don't imagine that this radiation is
It's like
a
micro.
right. I don't probably not any more than what we're getting right now here on Earth.
Yeah.
So
You mentioned Buzz Aldrin. He later shared vivid, almost haunting dreams, visions of strange lights and symbols that stayed with him long after his boots touched Earth. Story Musgrave, who once glimpsed a serpentine object in Earth's orbit, found that even back on Earth, his mind played tricks, fleeting images and shapes that echoed what he'd seen beyond the atmosphere. While NASA itself doesn't endorse paranormal explanations, some retired astronauts like Gordon Cooper have openly speculated about UFOs and non human intelligence. Cooper even claimed to have witnessed a UFO landing years before going into space, and he said his beliefs were reinforced by later experiences. Some astronauts have spoken of hearing phantom voices or mechanical sounds after their missions, moments untraceable by any instrument, yet real to their senses. These experiences are not hallucinations, born from fatigue or isolation alone. They are the echoes of space itself, lingering in the mind. Why do these echoes exist? Is it the brain adapting to extreme environments, the subtle effects of microgravity and cosmic radiation? Or could space truly leave an imprint beyond the physical, a resonance between the human spirit and the vast unknown? Now, what do you think? I mean, because I kind of feel like going into outer space has got to just be like an extreme. It's hard to call it an extreme environment because when I think of an extreme environment, I think of how it is here. An extreme environment here, I think of a hot, day. It's like in the middle of the summer. The heat index is 115 degrees Fahrenheit, and the wind isn't cooling; it's cooking. It just is harsh. That's what I think when I think of harsh environment or
no,
like winter storm. But there's no wind. There's no, but it's so different from what we experience. So is it extreme?
I w-
Is it
uh,
traumatic to our senses?
I would think an extreme environment would be space or the deep sea. That's where
Oh,
my mind goes with that because the deep sea and space, we need protective gear. We need
we do.
some way to
Yeah.
survive, a habitat to survive in order to even enter it.
True, but we don't enter it unless we are protected. Still, I mean, I
And
guess
you do the
it's,
same thing when you enter out into the hot heat with no wind as well. You try and have some sort of protection.
yeah,
So,
I don't know. Does
um,
that mess with your mind? Is that
yeah, the extreme heat absolutely messes with your mind.
what
Um, uh,
messes with
I'm
my everything?
I'm but I'm being serious about it. It's like when I mean, if you think about it, the extreme heat when you're looking at that highway out on the desert, you
Yeah,
see the waves of heat coming off, the the road, and it looks like the road is mirrored, and it looks like it's off. It's not a hallucination; it's a visual. It's something,
anomaly.
yeah, a visual anomaly is happening right there in
Yeah.
front of you. So there are things like that that do happen. So these extreme environments or these extreme temperatures or anything like that do happen. I think the bigger thing that I think about is the what'd you call it? The
Radiation?
no, the overview
Oh,
effect.
the overview effect. Yeah,
I think that is something that is interesting to me.
it is
Um,
to me too.
when you because I think I looked up the definition earlier today, and it's usually stimulated by some sort of visual
Hmm.
anomaly or visual stimulus,
Yeah.
and it's something that sends you into this deep conscious moment where you are being interconnected with a vast variety or a vast uh, population, or coming
Mm.
into this reflection moment of reflection where you're thinking there's something greater. There is, I'm part of a something greater. Um, and I think that you don't have to be an astronaut to reach that moment either, though. But
No, I
I
don't think you
absolutely,
do.
absolutely 100% believe that that is an effect that probably they do bring home and
Hmm.
do have moments of that, um, where they are seeing things, dreaming things, and having these moments of a deeper
Yeah.
consciousness. Um,
I mean,
but
I believe they see what they're seeing out there.
100%,
I don't think that they're being affected by stuff that's making them hallucinate and whatever. I do believe that they're having experiences and
100,
interactions in certain cases
absolutely,
with things. But I do I can understand like the it's like this larger consciousness. Probably on a micro scale because I haven't been in outer space, but like you said, you feel like you don't have to go to outer space to experience that. I think the closest thing that I could say where I've experienced that would just be standing on the beach when the ocean is glass. I mean, I think the last time I experienced that, I was in Pass Christian in Mississippi, and nobody else was out there. And I just remember standing there, and as far as I could see on the horizon was just ocean. And I felt so small. And I knew that, at the right moment, the right circumstance, the ocean could just reach out and grab me, and that'd be the end of it. There's nothing I could do, because it's so powerful and so big. And I just felt so tiny. And the only other time I feel like that is when I'm looking at the stars. Whenever I'm out in the country, there's no city lights, and there's just this vast ocean of stars. And you are just suddenly so tiny, and there's so much more. And I don't know. So I couldn't imagine, being untethered, just out there,
Uh, here's the
seeing that.
thing. I'm glad you kind of went off the rails a little bit there because I wanted to apologize for, starting to go off the rails there.
Nah.
Um, you said on a micro scale, but I don't think it's any different. Um, I think everybody would have a different perception, a different time. We've had, we've had actors that went up into space. Some of them had that moment, some of them didn't. I
Yeah.
think we all have a different overview effect in different moments. And I'm sure, uh, as a loving mother, you would agree. But when you saw your child born, that might have been a moment right there.
Oh, yeah. It
Um,
was kind of cinematic. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's like in the movies whenever they have this rush of like visions of things just like connecting that
absolutely.
you don't think about connecting. Yeah, you look at your first, your child when they're first born, and it's just like this moment.
And I, the only reason why I would say or even argue that it, I wouldn't call it a moment like on a micro scale is because we all have our moments and we all have our experiences. And though they might not seem as great as another, they're still ours.
They are
And it
to
doesn't make them
us.
any smaller,
Yeah. Yeah.
because each of our worlds are different on that different scale. Um, but yeah, I mean, when you are standing at the edge of a forest, peering into that forest,
Hmm.
those are moments I've had walking into a forest, knowing you're out there.
Yeah.
Um, and I am 100% with you with looking into space. When you have those clear moments, those just cloudless skies, all you
Yeah.
see is stars. You see the bright fucking full moon.
Yeah. And I'm always just like, why don't I come outside and do this every night? But then I don't.
Well, not every night is the same either. But I
Because
mean,
I'm busy playing video games.
I can step out onto my porch and it's not gonna happen every time. But that's what
Yeah.
makes it the experience that it is, And
Right.
so anyway, that yeah, I fully believe that that overview effect is something that the astronauts do
Makes them
have.
carry it back home with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. For sure.
So
I
you've
want
shared,
that top secret stuff released though. I want to see that video.
well, I mean, there's a lot of things that they keep covered up that I'd like to see, like,
Yeah, there's
or
probably
hear.
so many photos. I mean, so many photos.
It's like the Enfield. I'd like to hear the vocalizations. I'd like to hear this.
Right.
There's
This
there's
is
just there's just a lot of stuff I'd like to, that I know that we have archived somewhere and we don't have it.
we have this thing in yeah, the video, like the gamer community, where people will be like, "Oh yeah, I did this and it was amazing." We're always it's a screenshot or it didn't happen. So I want to see the screenshot. I want to see the video. I want to see the photos. So, I can experience that yes, it actually did happen.
Absolutely. So we've shared our cosmic take. Now it's your turn. Shoot us an email or drop a comment to beam up your thoughts. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a like, follow, subscribe, and share so all of your stellar friends can join the adventure.
For astronauts, space is never just a place. It becomes a state of being, one that follows them home, haunting their memories, whispering of mysteries still waiting to be understood. And perhaps for all of us, those echoes remind that the greatest frontier is not only out there, but within. Until next time, thank you for traveling with us beyond the stars.